California is battling a paradoxical nightmare. On one hand, historic droughts ravage the state and leave reservoirs parched and crops wilting. On the other hand, relentless floods sweep through cities, wreak havoc, and displace communities. This stark contrast, too little water one year, too much the next, exposes a critical flaw in the state's water management. The solution? A groundbreaking $4 billion project known as the Sites Reservoir. Unlike anything built before, this off-river marvel promises to capture floodwaters for use in drier times. But can it deliver on its promise? Let's explore the intricate web of challenges and possibilities. California's water crisis, a historic struggle. California's relationship with water has always been fraught with difficulty. Large swathes of the state, including the Mojave Desert and Great Basin, are naturally arid. Early settlers faced this harsh reality when attempts to farm the land were thwarted by water scarcity. Over time, cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco grew into sprawling urban centers, placing an ever-increasing demand on limited water supplies. Infrastructure was developed to address these needs, including the construction of over 1,000 dams, but these solutions were a temporary bulwark against the tide of rapid population growth and urbanization. By the mid-20th century, the State Water Project emerged as a bold effort to transport water from wetter northern regions to arid southern areas. While initially successful, this vast network of reservoirs and aqueducts was only a partial solution. California's population doubled in the decades that followed and stretched the SWP's capacity to the breaking point. As cities expanded and agricultural output increased, the demand for water outpaced supply. The system, built for a smaller and less complex state, now struggles to meet the needs of nearly 40 million people. Climate change has only worsened this crisis. Rising temperatures have led to more frequent and intense droughts, and melting snowpacks, California's natural reservoirs, dwindle earlier in the year. Paradoxically, the same climatic shifts bring periods of heavy rainfall that cause devastating floods. When these floods strike, the state's existing water infrastructure fails to capture much of the excess. It flows uselessly into the ocean. This cyclical disaster leaves California swinging between two extremes: prolonged droughts and destructive floods. Poor water management practices compound the problem. Many of the state's reservoirs are old and ill-equipped to handle modern climatic realities. The inability to collect and store sufficient water during rainy periods leaves Californians vulnerable to dry spells. Agricultural lands suffer, cities impose water restrictions, and fragile ecosystems teeter on collapse. Meanwhile, during floods, urban areas are ill-prepared to handle the deluge, resulting in massive property damage and loss of life. As California contemplates the future of its water resources, attention turns to the lessons of the past and the ambitious plans for the future, including the transformative potential of the Sites Reservoir. This groundbreaking project marks a pivotal step toward modernizing the state's water infrastructure to meet the challenges of the 21st century. Origins of the Sites Reservoir concept. The idea for off-river reservoirs like the Sites Reservoir can be traced back to the 1950s. At the time, state planners sought innovative ways to address the mounting water challenges posed by urbanization and agricultural expansion. Recognizing the shortcomings of traditional reservoirs that relied on damming rivers, engineers proposed a new approach: an off-river reservoir. This concept involved capturing and storing excess water from existing waterways during periods of heavy rainfall, rather than directly disrupting river ecosystems. The Sites Reservoir was envisioned as part of this forward-thinking strategy. It was intended to balance water supply and ecological preservation. Despite its promise, the Sites Reservoir remained a concept for decades. The challenges were both financial and environmental. In the mid-20th century, California launched a massive undertaking that included the construction of over 20 dams, reservoirs, and a sprawling network of aqueducts. While this was groundbreaking, its scope left little room for additional projects like the Sites Reservoir. Furthermore, the estimated cost of building sites, initially deemed prohibitively high, diverted funds to other ventures. Environmental concerns also played a role, as debates over the ecological impact of water projects intensified during this period. The limitations soon became evident. Designed in the 1950s and constructed during the following decades, it served a population of fewer than 20 million people. Today, California's population has more than doubled, yet the infrastructure remains largely unchanged. Its reservoirs, though critical, are strained to meet the demands of urban centers and agriculture. Additionally, many dams obstruct natural river flows. They disrupt fish migrations and reduce biodiversity. The inability to adapt this aging system to modern realities has left the state vulnerable to recurring droughts and floods. By the 1980s, plans for the Sites Reservoir briefly resurfaced. However, environmental opposition and economic hurdles again sidelined the project. Conservation groups raised valid concerns about the potential impacts on local ecosystems and fish populations. Meanwhile, the economic downturn of the era made large-scale infrastructure investments politically unviable. As a result, the Sites Reservoir remained on the drawing board, a missed opportunity for tackling California's growing water crisis. In recent years, however, the tides have turned. With climate change amplifying the state's water challenges, policymakers have begun to revisit the Sites Reservoir with renewed urgency. Its off-river design offers a compelling solution to the limitations of the SWP. By capturing water during storms without damming major rivers, it promises to balance the needs of human consumption and environmental preservation. While the project still faces scrutiny, its potential to transform California's water landscape has garnered widespread attention. As the focus shifts toward bringing the Sites Reservoir to life, attention also turns to the intricate design and engineering required to make this ambitious project a reality. From its unique construction approach to its potential benefits, the Sites Reservoir is poised to redefine water management in the state. The vision behind the $4 billion mega-project. The Sites Reservoir represents a bold reimagining of water management in California. Situated in a secluded valley 80 miles north of Sacramento, the project is a departure from traditional dams that disrupt major waterways. Instead of blocking the flow of rivers, sites will collect excess water during periods of heavy rainfall and offer a sustainable way to address California's recurring drought and flood cycles. The $4 billion investment into this innovative project underscores its importance as a cornerstone of the state's future water infrastructure. At the heart of the project is its unique off-river approach. Unlike conventional dams, the Sites Reservoir will not directly impound a river. Instead, it will rely on a network of existing canals and new conveyance systems to divert water from the Sacramento River. During high-flow periods, when the river swells with stormwater, pumps will channel water through pipelines and into the reservoir. By tapping into the river only during these peak flows, the project minimizes disruption to aquatic ecosystems and ensures a reliable water supply for dry periods. The construction plans for Sites are as ambitious as its vision. The project involves building two main dams, the Sites Dam and the Golden Gate Dam, as well as 7 smaller saddle dams to enclose the valley. These structures will transform the grassy basin into a watertight reservoir, capable of holding up to 1.5 million acre-feet of water. For context, this is enough to supply millions of households or irrigate vast swaths of farmland. The project also includes extensive land preparation, such as clearing vegetation, relocating residents, and even moving 2 small cemeteries to accommodate the reservoir's footprint. One of the project's most forward-thinking features is its integration of hydroelectric power. The energy-intensive process of pumping water into the reservoir will be offset by generating electricity when water is released during dry periods. Hydroelectric turbines installed in the dam structures will convert the outflowing water into power. This will recoup nearly 80% of the energy used for pumping. This dual-purpose design not only enhances the project's sustainability, but also reduces its overall environmental footprint. Environmental considerations have been central to the reservoir's design. Recognizing the potential impact on fish migration in the Sacramento River, the project incorporates advanced fish screens to prevent aquatic species from being drawn into the pumps. These screens are designed to safeguard vulnerable populations, including the endangered Chinook salmon. Additionally, water stored in the reservoir will be strategically released during dry seasons to maintain river flow levels. Another noteworthy feature is the use of solar energy. In addition to hydroelectric power, the project plans to install solar panels to further reduce its reliance on external energy sources. This integration of renewable energy technologies reflects a broader commitment to sustainability. and makes the Sites Reservoir a model for eco-friendly infrastructure. As construction nears, the focus shifts to the monumental task of bringing this vision to life. The engineering challenges, from building massive dams to installing intricate water conveyance systems, will test the limits of modern infrastructure development. Yet the promise of a more sustainable and secure water future drives the project forward and offers hope for a state that desperately needs it. Construction process. Transforming a grassy valley into a massive off-river reservoir requires careful planning, advanced engineering, and meticulous execution. This monumental undertaking will not only reshape the landscape, but also set new standards for sustainable infrastructure development. The first stage of construction involves building the primary and saddle dams that will enclose the valley. The two main dams will form the eastern boundary of the reservoir. 7 smaller saddle dams will seal the gaps along the northern and western edges. These structures, designed to withstand immense pressure from the water they will hold, will require millions of cubic yards of concrete. Advanced seismic engineering will ensure the dams remain stable in the event of an earthquake, a critical consideration in California's geologically active environment. Excavation of the reservoir basin comes next. Crews will clear vegetation, remove topsoil, and reshape the valley floor to maximize water retention. This process includes demolishing existing structures, dismantling septic systems, and relocating 2 private cemeteries. The project team is sensitive to community concerns and has committed to carefully exhuming and reinterring remains in nearby locations chosen in consultation with affected families. Meanwhile, approximately 15 households in the town of Sites will be relocated, with property acquisitions and compensations managed to minimize disruption. A crucial element of the project is the installation of pipelines and conveyance systems that will transport water to and from the reservoir. 2 23-foot-wide tunnels, each spanning 3,000 feet, will connect the reservoir to the Sacramento River. These pipelines will carry water during high-flow periods and direct it into the reservoir for storage. Existing canals in the region, totaling 160 miles, will be integrated into the system. This will reduce the need for extensive new infrastructure. However, 20 miles of new conveyance will still be required. Energy requirements for the project are substantial. Pumping water from the Sacramento River to the reservoir will consume large amounts of electricity. It is estimated at 1 million gallons of water per day for 4 years, just for concrete mixing during construction. To offset this demand, the project will utilize hydroelectric turbines to generate power during water releases. These turbines, combined with a planned solar panel array, will make the Sites Reservoir a net energy-efficient system. By leveraging renewable energy, the project aims to minimize its carbon footprint while ensuring long-term operational sustainability. The construction timeline is ambitious but achievable. Work is expected to begin between 2024 and 2025, and completion is projected for 2030 or 2031. While some have expressed frustration over the delays, the complexity of the undertaking necessitates a measured approach. The long-term benefits, relief from drought, flood mitigation, and improved water security, outweigh the temporary inconveniences posed by the construction phase. Environmental and economic impacts. While the project is designed to alleviate California's water crisis, it also raises critical concerns about its impact on local ecosystems and aquatic life. At the same time, the reservoir promises to deliver substantial economic benefits, from job creation to long-term water security. One of the most pressing concerns is the potential impact on fish migration and aquatic ecosystems in the Sacramento River. The river is home to several species, including the endangered Chinook salmon, which rely on unimpeded waterways for breeding and migration. Diverting water from the river, even during high-flow periods, could alter natural flow patterns. This would disrupt spawning cycles and threaten the survival of these sensitive populations. Environmentalists warn that without proper safeguards, the reservoir could exacerbate challenges for already fragile ecosystems. In response, the Sites Reservoir project incorporates advanced measures to minimize its ecological footprint. At intake points, state-of-the-art fish screens will be installed to prevent aquatic species from being drawn into the system. These screens are designed to allow water flow while keeping fish and other organisms safe. Additionally, the reservoir will be managed to release water strategically during dry seasons. maintaining consistent river flows, and supporting aquatic habitats. This approach aims to balance human water needs with the ecological requirements of the river system. Another potential risk is the impact of land use changes on local wildlife. The transformation of a grassy valley into a reservoir will inevitably disrupt existing habitats. However, the project plans to mitigate this by repurposing removed vegetation for nearby restoration efforts. Furthermore, some of the water stored in the reservoir will be allocated to support local species to ensure they have access to vital resources during drought conditions. These measures, though not perfect, reflect a commitment to addressing the environmental challenges associated with large-scale infrastructure projects. While environmental concerns demand careful management, the economic benefits of the Sites Reservoir are far-reaching and transformative. The reservoir is expected to provide a reliable water supply for both urban and agricultural use. This will create a ripple effect of economic growth across the state. One of the most significant impacts will be on California's agricultural sector. Farmers, who have long struggled with water scarcity, will gain access to a consistent and sustainable water source. This will enable them to expand crop production, reduce the risk of crop failures, and stabilize their livelihoods. The increased agricultural productivity will, in turn, boost related industries such as food processing and distribution. The construction phase of the reservoir itself is a significant driver of economic activity. Building the dams, pipelines, and related infrastructure will require thousands of skilled and unskilled workers. These jobs will inject much-needed income into local economies, particularly in the Sacramento Valley region. Additionally, the project will stimulate demand for materials and services. This will benefit industries such as concrete manufacturing, transportation, and heavy machinery. Once operational, the reservoir will continue to provide economic benefits through improved water security. With the capacity to store 1.5 million acre-feet of water, the Sites Reservoir will serve millions of residents and irrigate hundreds of thousands of acres of farmland. This stability is invaluable in a state where droughts can devastate both urban and rural communities. Moreover, the reservoir's integration of hydroelectric power generation adds another layer of economic value. By offsetting energy costs with renewable electricity, the project reduces its financial burden and supports California's transition to sustainable energy sources. The reservoir also holds the potential to reduce the economic impact of floods. By capturing excess water during storms, the project can help prevent costly damage to infrastructure and property in downstream areas. This dual-purpose design, addressing both drought and flood challenges, underscores the project's long-term value to California's economy. Challenges and criticisms. Despite its promising vision, the Sites Reservoir faces significant challenges and criticisms that could impact its success. Foremost among these is the project's staggering $4 billion price tag. While much of the funding is expected to come from state and federal sources, concerns remain about how the remaining costs will be covered. Critics fear that water agencies may pass these expenses on to consumers. This could potentially lead to substantial increases in water prices. Such price hikes could disproportionately affect low-income households and raise questions about the project's affordability and equity. Environmental risks also loom large. Although the reservoir's off-river design reduces some ecological impacts, diverting water from the Sacramento River still poses threats to local ecosystems. Environmental groups have highlighted the potential disruption to fish migration. Even with advanced fish screens and water release plans to maintain river flows, skeptics worry that the reservoir may exacerbate challenges for already stressed aquatic habitats. Delays in funding or construction present another obstacle. With work scheduled to begin as late as 2025 and completion not expected until 2030 or 2031, any setbacks could hinder the reservoir's ability to address California's immediate water needs. Missed opportunities like capturing stormwater during recent floods further underscore the urgency of timely implementation. Ultimately, the success of the Sites Reservoir hinges on careful management of these challenges. Balancing costs, mitigating environmental impacts, and adhering to construction timelines are critical to ensuring the project delivers on its promise of providing sustainable water solutions. Addressing these criticisms proactively will be essential to achieving widespread support and maximizing the reservoir's long-term benefits. A $4 billion investment in California's future, the Sites Reservoir represents a monumental step forward in California's battle against its water crisis. This $4 billion off-river reservoir is poised to address two of the state's most pressing challenges: prolonged dry spells and devastating floods. Its innovative design offers a balanced approach to water management that reflects the realities of a changing climate. However, the reservoir's potential hinges on its successful execution. With concerns about rising costs, environmental impacts, and construction delays, the project must be completed responsibly. Advanced technologies demonstrate a commitment to sustainability, but ongoing oversight and adaptation will be essential to ensuring these measures deliver on their promise. Beyond California, the Sites Reservoir serves as a model for addressing global water challenges. Its emphasis on collaboration, innovation, and ecological balance highlights the path forward in a world increasingly impacted by climate change. For California's residents, farmers, and ecosystems, the reservoir is more than an infrastructure project. It is a lifeline, offering hope for a more resilient and sustainable future. Is a 6-year timeline for such an ambitious project viable? Share your thoughts with us in the comments. We'd love to hear. For now, we're out of here. Catch you in the next video.